church hall of St Crux here on Whatmer Gate. We'll show you the sign. Thank you, Jan. But before we talk about Whatmer Gate, I want to point out, if we just turn around here, you see the Church of St Saviour's behind us. That's right, MB. So we've got Church 1 there, Church 2 just here. We are on the streets of Whatmer Gate. There's its description there. Talked about that story plenty of times, so we'll move on. Because the point that I want to draw your attention to is another church just here. So right in the middle of your picture there, which is All Saints pavement. And what I've got in York is sort of crazy over-churching. And this relates to the era, again, of faith we were talking about earlier. It's a period of an absolute focus on attaining salvation in the next life. Visitors, pilgrims coming to York would visit these churches because each would contain manuscripts, relics, kind of reasons to visit. So these, if you like, were the tourist destinations of their day, which is why we've got so many of them. We've got somewhere in the region of 40 religious houses in the city of York. Many of them have now moved on, they're no longer with us, but nonetheless, the physical remains are very much evident to see. The lantern tower in front of us here is lit every night, and apart from during the Blitz in the war, where there was the blackout, it's been lit every night for almost 800 years. So if you're here in York in person, we're going to do an evening tour of York quite soon actually, you'll see that lit up. Thank you, Margaret. The Golden Fleece, reported the most haunted pub in Britain, is a reference to the money's made of textiles, because the textile industry of York created the huge value. What are you talking? Okay, so let's just, it's getting very, very busy down here, as you can probably kind of tell. So we'll go down Lady Peckett's yard. Well, we talked about, thank you, Laura. We talked about this yesterday, weren't we, Sandy, in Ambleside. It just helps you to pick up some bits like where we are now. So easy to walk past, but what a shame to do so. So again, let me just flip you through into a horizontal in order to give you a postcard image. Thank you, Diane. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely stunning Elizabethan architecture. Just down quite a alleyway, you move a few paces away from the streets, and suddenly you've got this wholly different ambience, this wholly different environment. Let me just flick you back. And in York, we're incredibly fortunate. We are so blessed. The age of these buildings, Deborah, this particular house would have been built in the early part of the Elizabethan era, so probably the sort of 1560s, 1570s, that sort of time period. That's the kind of time period of this building. So a little bit later than some of the other buildings we've seen, but as a result of that, they were able to incorporate more modern facilities. So consequently, we've got the bedrooms down here, you see? We've got brick being involved. So brick is a kind of Tudor thing. Hi, Michelle. You're late joining us, but hopefully be enough to make you want to come again in the future. So brick really kind of comes into its own in the Tudor period. They stopped building in stone so much because of the cost, really. Yeah, this is all old. So this is all 16th century in construction. So again, if I just let you get a sense of looking up the alleyway. Thank you, Jen. You can see this got the Lady Peckett's yard where we are now. So Diane, any of the old? Did you mean are these old, or was that part of a question that I missed? So do put it in again. I'll try and answer your question. We're coming to the end of the tour, but I'll just bring us through this bit, and then we'll finish up on Fossgate. I think we'll finish up by the River Foss, because it's getting rather. Thank you, Linda. It's getting rather boisterous. That's what I'm looking for. It's getting rather boisterous, and suddenly the sky's looking grey. Thank you, Pam. Yeah, I know. I mean, people have really sort of want to see the link with Harry Potter. It's as much because Neville link it with it. It's linked rather than necessarily, that J.K. Rowling has said too much about York. But it doesn't really matter, does it? People love it. They want to be part of it. So yeah, there's just places that people want to be, aren't they? Whether it be Edinburgh, York, Oxford, Banff, you name it. There's certain places that, we see them and we go, I want to be there. I want to feel that connection. And so that's what we'll do. This is one of my buildings that I really love in York. Much more modern than anything else, but a very early cinema. It was York's first the electric cinema, opened in 1909. The same year, pretty much the silent movie started. It's absolutely glorious, isn't it? And of course, this was competing with the theatres. This is where cinema, this new art form, you know, that in effect we are, if you like, the most modern version, really, aren't we, of cinema, of moving pictures. This, at the point where this was kind of being built, we were trying to entice people away from theatres, and there was a sense that you know, it was a lesser form of entertainment. You know, that the theatre was a culturally important form of theatre of entertainment, and that cinema was less. And so they started to create, obviously, buildings that tried to be reminiscent of theatres and places of kind of high culture, to try and kind of compensate for this sense that they were seen as the kind of poor relation, you know, theatre for people that are kind of hard of thinking, as you might say. So I really like that. Oh, look, the merch. If we can get in here, this would be a fabulous place to finish up. Oh, no, it's obviously got some kind of event on. What a shame. Never mind. I thought that was a bit too good to be true, because normally that closes at 4:30, so I thought we could get down there for a sneak. But we'll come round and we're just going to finish up. I'll take you from the other side, actually, and then you can get your final postcards of the Merchant Adventures Hall. So is there much of live theatre vibe? Yeah, and B, there are three main theatres in the city centre. Then there's sort of obviously amateur dramatic stuff that kind of goes on. Yeah, it's very much, you know, an arts and performing arts hub, definitely. Yeah.